What is it with some leaders that constantly feel they can change victims? Meaning, you've worked with somebody who is extremely, you know who I'm talking about. You probably thought about 5 names. You have somebody in your company, somebody in your organization who you see greatness in this person. This person could be a hero. This person could go out there and do incredible things, but behind closed doors, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's the company's fault. It's the industry's fault. It's my wife's fault. It's my friend's fault. Everybody's fault except theirs, and they may be the most talented person in your company. Did you ever have to give up trying to change victims? And if yes, what was your formula?
Yes, and not only do we have to try to give up changing victims, we have to give it up every day. What I give somebody who's playing a victim, first of all, it's spoken in our culture. We define victim mentality. It's not a mystery. So people now recognize it in themselves. They know that that's not going to be valued here. And so that took care of 80% of the problem right there, because you had the people who used that tactic, the victim flop, I call it flopping, like a Premier League soccer player. They flop and act like they're injured, and then they jump up and score a goal. They're fine. There's nothing wrong. So that no longer works in my company. And then what I tend to do is have to remind myself, this happened a couple of days ago. Just, hey, if the person's going to play a victim, there's nothing we can do. It is not our job to change them. What I want to do, though, is give them an opportunity to play the hero. So I want to sit down and say, let me explain to you your very clear opportunity to make a lot more money, to have all these things come your way, to have a great career. Here's your opportunity. If you can do these things. And I have actually seen transformation with some, where they look at that and they say, well, all I needed to know were the rules of the game, and you just taught me the rules of the game. So now I'm going to play the game and gain some confidence that I can actually win at this game. And so I've seen that happen, but it's just not our responsibility to do that. And I would actually say a lot of us, just like you discovered in your dating relationships, Patrick, I didn't get married till I was 42 years old. I had some pretty rocky relationships in there. A couple of them were because somebody played the victim, and it made me feel really good about myself to go in and rescue them. But there's a psychologist named Kaufman who has something called Kaufman's triangle. And he says, when you rescue somebody, you begin to resent them and build up tension, because they're sapping all of your energy, and they won't take responsibility for their lives. So that thing where it makes us feel good actually comes back and bites us at the end. What we want are a team of high-performing, heroic individuals and guides who will transform the lives of our customers by solving their problems. Everything else, we need to go see a counselor and say, why am I trying to rescue people? Can I tell you a weird story, Patrick?
Please.
I actually went and saw a counselor once, and it was at the request of a friend who has a therapeutic retreat center. He said, you should spend some time figuring this stuff out. And I only went in dealing with my business stuff. I'd already gone and dealt with all my relational stuff, codependency, all that stuff. It's an important journey. And she said, tell me something you want to work on. And I said, okay, well, I've got a couple staff members who I really love. They're like little brothers to me. And I really want to pay them a lot of money, and I dream about their future and all this kind of stuff. I'm tempted to think maybe I want to overpay them sometimes, or be a rescuer or something like that. And I can't figure out why. And she said, okay. She said, how old is one of these guys? She named him. I said, he's about 26 years old. She said, tell me where you were when you were 26. And I said, when I was 26, I was the president of a small publishing company. I had transformed this company. We became the fastest growing publishing company in our segment. And I was so proud of the work I'd done. She said, Don, how did your boss feel about that? I said, he didn't feel any way about it. He was an absentee owner. He wasn't paying attention. In fact, he hired a consultant to figure out why we were growing. The consultant had to tell him it's because of this guy, Don. And she said, so let me get this straight. When you were 26, your boss did not affirm you or compensate you fairly. And I said, yes. And she goes, isn't it obvious what you're doing? And I said, no, it's not obvious. She said, Don, you're trying to compensate your 26-year-old
yourself. Yeah, wow.
Then she had me do this, Patrick. This was really trippy. It was weird. She said, okay, I'm going to put him in this chair. She goes, I want you now to go sit in his chair and be him and look back at yourself and say, here's what I actually need. And I went and I did it, and I looked at myself in that empty chair, and I said, oh my gosh, it's so clear. I need a clear job description. I need clear objectives, and I need to be compensated based on performance. It was just a fascinating revelation. So the reality is we're bringing all sorts of our garbage and our baggage into our work every day. And thank goodness I have a gracious staff who forgives me of that and knows I'm willing to work on it. But we've got to constantly be working on those temptations to rescue people. You don't want to be doing that stuff. I interviewed, he actually reminds me of you in our short time together, Patrick. I interviewed Pete Carroll, who's head of the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're going to win a Super Bowl this year. They're amazing. I interviewed him a few years ago, and I said, how many times do you give somebody a second chance? And he said, look, if somebody's drowning out there, I'll throw them a rope. And I said, what if they don't take it? He said, I'll throw them another. I said, Pete, what if they don't take it? He said, I'll throw them another. And I thought he was going to go on forever. And I said, okay, what about the fourth time? He said, I let them drown.
There you go.
And I said, really? You let them drown? He goes, Don, they chose to drown. It's not my responsibility.
That's right.
And that's a hard thing for those of us who are compassionate and love people. It's a hard thing to actually say this person is going to have to, drown or near drown in order to figure out their life. And I'm not going to get in the way of that by continuing trying to rescue them.